Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
And you got Luke.
All right, Luke, we are back at it. And I know we were a little bit serious last episode.
Way too serious.
Ugh, I know, it's rough. But I think this is a good one. People are going to like it. We're looking at sci-fi technology or engineering that has become a reality.
I like this. I think this was my idea, I'm pretty sure.
You don't really need to claim credit. We're a team. But yes, it was.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, since you came up with it, why not let you go first?
I want to give a little background on this.
Let me guess. You have some story that scarred your life.
I don't have some story that scarred my life. Don't forget to share this. I don't have some story that scarred my life. But when we talk sci-fi engineering that became real, we're talking about movies, TV shows. I have a couple cartoon references. And I think you had mentioned that you've done some like superhero stuff, not necessarily science fiction, but like maybe Marvel, DC.
You don't consider superheroes to be science fiction?
No, when I think science fiction, I think Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
When I think science fiction, that's what I think of. I don't think of like Iron Man.
For the readers out there, I also threw in a couple of authors and book references.
I was gonna do that, but I didn't because there's a ton of those.
There's so much for this. Okay, let's not waste any more time.
Okay, so I have to start out with. I do have a story. So I do have to start out with like what I grew up on. So me and my dad would watch Star Trek like religiously. So at least 3-4 times a week, I would be sitting down. Me, my dad, my brother. We would sit down and watch Star Trek. And the thing that's amazing when you look back at, and this is with all of the stuff we're going to be talking about, when you go back and you look at the technology that they had, back with William Shatner when he was in his 30s.
My name is William Shatner.
Wow.
Pretty good, right?
That's really good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
The stuff they did, it's so amazing how some of this stuff has actually come to life. So
it is.
The first one, and this is probably the most obvious.
This is the gimme. I know what you're going with.
It's the replicator.
Right.
And the replicator being able to take an object and basically create a duplicate of it instantly. Are you scratching out the stuff that we agree on?
Right.
The fact that was your number one and my number one is crazy. So the replicator, so basically this is 3D printers. We were just chatting with the Botsy guys earlier, right? And 3D printing and being able to do that and to do it quickly. Obviously in Star Trek this happened in seconds.
Right.
Not hours and hours like 3D printers take. But printers are getting so fast, it could get to the point where you can create these replicated objects super quickly. So you got to go with replicators, and I'm gonna do a couple of these, and I want to with Star Trek, and I want to see what your Star Trek is.
Hold on that. I wanted to also throw in there.
Okay.
Well, I also wanted to throw in. It's not just we're replicating items, but we're actually now replicating food. We have Pancake Bot.
Yes.
We have some things that
Whoa.
Well,
Pancake Bot?
Check out Pancake Bot on Twitter. They're pretty cool. They're like you can make pancakes and you can have it automatically put blueberries in it or chocolate and flip them over. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Make different
Home
shapes.
application?
Probably business application.
Okay, gotcha.
And then there's also things that make hamburgers or even conveyor belt lines that make sandwiches, things like that. So we're getting pretty close to old Star Trek.
Yes.
Spock and some other guy.
Yeah,
Scotty.
We were talking about Scotty earlier. You didn't get my reference.
I don't really know this stuff.
So the next one is in Star Trek, they use these things called tricorders a lot. And they were things like if anybody ever got hurt, they would run this tricorder over their body and it would like diagnose whatever problems they had. And basically there is a tool out there called a Scandal Scout, I think I'm saying it correctly, but this is basically a device that you place on different parts of your body, your forehead, your wrist, your heart, and it actually gives you biomedical feedback immediately, just the way a tricorder would work inside of Star Trek.
Okay.
And then last one, and then I'll let you jump in, is the obvious one.
Another one.
Tricorders are flip phones. So
flip
even
phones,
the actual...
I passed those just because they were such a gimme. I was like, it's not even worth it.
But the fact
not to mention we don't use them.
They work the exact same way, and it was that long ago. Like, remember how cool it was to have a razor? You'd flip it open.
Those were cool.
When razors were
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, they were great.
So those are my Star Trek ones. I have a couple other ones, but I want to hear if you have any additional Star Trek ones I missed.
So I do have one more. It's the Star Trek Pad, PADD, and it's basically an iPad.
Really?
So, yeah, it's like your PADD, Personal Access Display Device.
Okay.
And it looks like a big iPad that they were carrying around on board. So there's actually another one that I'm going to mention that looked that up, or that I looked up that used that. That's even better. But that was another Star Trek thing.
Okay.
All right. So are we good with Star Trek for now?
I don't know if this is definitely a Star Trek, but another gimme that I didn't even think about. In hindsight, it probably should have been top of the list.
Okay.
Automatic doors.
So I have something else about that as well, but they had that in Star Trek, I assume?
Yeah, and it made this really funny noise that, whenever the door opened and closed, it was kind of like a whistling noise. But the fact that the doors would open when you approached them, I mean, back whenever this was happening, that wasn't even, the thought of automatic doors and sensors to know when you're coming, that wasn't even on the radar, I think, of most people designing buildings and stuff like that. And now that's getting into the building here this morning. There's like 17 of them I walked through.
All they are, right. So I have that coming up in another movie as well.
Okay.
But one more thing I did want to say about Star Trek. I apparently overlooked it. They have the Star Trek Virtual Display Device. And that's basically just Google Glass. Now, I know the Google Glass didn't really do real well. It kind of flopped. But this was just a headset that allowed the evil Dominion to see things outside the ship and display what was going on.
These were bad guys using
These
Google
were bad
Glass.
guys using Google Glass. And
I don't
it was just
remember
a
that
headset.
episode.
And that's what it is. But also another good example of the headset technology that became Google Glass would be RoboCop.
Oh,
Loved me some RoboCop.
I have one RoboCop reference. I think that we can get to later if you want to.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So shall we move on?
I think we shall.
All right. So since we're hitting up all of the nerdy things, all things nerd, let's go to Star Wars next.
That's my number 2.
Is it?
Yep.
I feel like it has to be, right? It should be number 1, but Star Trek had so many nerdy inventions that showed up.
I agree.
So the first thing that I'm going to look at is the speeder bike, which became the hover bike. And so they actually have hover bikes that went on sale or are going on sale later this year. And they lift you off the ground and you drive around just like you would on the land speeders, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I feel like a hover bike. Is that thing got blades?
Like underneath it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
Doesn't
above
seem safe.
And you're above the blades?
I don't know how you keep safe on it, but that's not my problem. That's a them problem.
I feel like that's an OSHA nightmare, kind of you being above blades.
Are you hardwired in today?
I am.
Oh, okay. So anyways, that does seem like a bit of a problem, but they're going on sale. They're not as agile as they are in the movies. Not surprisingly.
I can't imagine they would be.
But I figure in time maybe they'll get there.
Yeah,
so
for
I
sure.
thought that was cool. And of course, we also have lasers. Lasers are a big thing, it turns out, in Star Wars.
Lightsaber or lasers?
I'm going with lasers, as in the laser blasters.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, why I say this is a reality, sure, we have lasers like cat pointers, but that's not really what we're talking about. The United States Army has weaponized lasers called the Avenger. So it's 20 times hotter than a stovetop, which is pretty hot, as that burns my skin off.
Yep.
And it can cut through artillery shells. And so that's the main use for it right now, is to dismantle IEDs, which are pretty much the biggest destructive force against the U.S. Army at this point. So that's pretty sweet that we have these sweet lasers blowing these things up.
So I do have the lightsaber. So this is an interesting one.
I'd be interested to hear how you see the lightsaber tying in.
Yeah, so I don't know if it actually has totally come to the point where you could hold a lightsaber and have, a beam of laser or light. But in 2013...
I feel like I'd have one if we could.
Yes. Researchers at Harvard University and MIT demonstrated that when pairs of photons were fired through a cloud of super-cooled atoms, the photons emerged as a single molecule. So basically a beam, the way a lightsaber is.
Right.
Granted, they admitted that there was zero legitimate application that they could find, and this could be it's not something you could hold on your pocket. This was enormous pieces of equipment that did this, so turning this into an actual usable lightsaber. But they were able to kind of take that idea of a focused beam of light and create that essentially a lightsaber.
I like it.
I like it too.
That a lot. Another thing from Star Wars, because again, all things nerdier in these movies and TV shows, would be the Star Wars hologram.
I didn't have that one.
Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
Oh, that one coming out of R2.
Yeah,
I got you.
R2 shoots that thing out there.
About that.
Where do we have it? Just like Leia, we have good old Tupac coming to us as a hologram, right?
Yeah, I totally forgot about Tupac.
Didn't they do maybe Michael Jackson as one as well?
Michael Jackson did it a couple times.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I remember Tupac being a big thing at Coachella or something like that.
And it was like a 3-dimensional hologram.
Right.
It wasn't just like a projected flat.
Don't I sound like I know what I'm talking about with like Coachella? Like I'm really hip. Like I even know what that is.
And the fact that you have glasses on your head.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool. No? Okay. If that's all you have to contribute.
No, I have way more for Star Wars.
Wow. Okay.
I got
Let's
a minimum of 2.
Okay. I bet we have one that might be the same. Go ahead.
So tractor beams.
That's my next one. Go ahead.
I feel like we probably hit up all the same sites. So
no, I did all this research myself out of books and newspapers.
Oh, really?
No.
I use the Googles.
Okay, that's a good tool.
So tractor beams. Wow, I shouldn't have my speakers on, should I?
No.
So tractor beams, and I actually saw a video of this just the other day, just by chance, and a University of Bristol in the United Kingdom showed that they could take sound waves and basically levitate by using these certain sound waves. Not only levitate, but also move little polystyrene balls, so like little foam balls. They could actually keep them levitated with sound waves, and by using additional sound waves, they could move them and manipulate them where they wanted to.
Where was this at?
This was University of Bristol in the United Kingdom.
Okay, interesting.
And they could basically use it essentially as a tractor beam to move an object wherever it wanted to move the object. So
that's pretty cool.
Where it's not a tractor beam, and maybe tractor beams work that way in Star Wars. Maybe it was sound. I imagine it wasn't.
Well, along those lines, an Australian university came up with the same idea where they were using lasers to move things. Now, they could only move very tiny objects, like 1/5 of a millimeter, but they were moving them about 20 centimeters with their tractor beam.
Okay.
So, I mean, not real impressive, but it's getting somewhere.
Yeah, I would think a combination of like the lasers, the sound, the fact that people are actually developing tractor beams, like, is crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that one.
Okay.
And then my last one for Star Wars, and if you have any more, and this one's kind of a gimme as well, but it's droids.
Droids. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like droids that have like a purpose. So like, R2-D2 and C-3PO protocol droids, and I forget what the other droids were that they were called. But basically, if you look at DARPA, so DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. So these are the cats that you see all the time doing these crazy robots that like can jump and climb and go up and down hills, and they look like cheetahs. But basically, DARPA creates these robotic challenges to make humanoid robots that can actually do like complex tasks like driving a vehicle, opening a door, climbing steps, turning off and on valves. So basically, it's like C-3PO.
Yeah.
But without the attitude.
And the British, was really the
British
worst.
accent.
That didn't make him the worst, but he was the worst.
Yeah.
Ugh, hate him.
Really?
C-3PO? Yeah. I'm an R2 man.
I don't have. You're right. I have an R2-D2 little figurine, but I don't have a C-3PO
because he's the worst.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to skip ahead one more thing before we take a break.
Okay.
And that's going to be the Robotaxi. And the Robotaxi, most famous for Total Recall. Now, that's a good sci-fi, futuristic kind of movie. Do you remember Total Recall?
Oh, I love Total Recall.
Oh, man. But I was young when that came out.
I have another movie reference for that one, though.
Oh, for Total Recall?
No, for driverless cars.
I have a handful of them. What one are you going with?
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man is next on my list.
If you put Wesley Snipes and Rocky Balboa,
Sylvester
Stallone in one movie together and throw a driverless car into it, and then you throw in the lady from the boat that went too fast. Wow, I'm really bad at movies.
A boat that went too fast.
No, from Speed. What was her name?
I don't know.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
Was in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Demolition Man.
That was a bus, not a boat that went too fast.
Well, there
Maybe
was a
there
boat
was
in the
Speed
second
2 or
one.
3.
Yeah, there was a Speed 2.
Okay.
But Demolition Man had these driverless taxis and cars that you would just get into and tell it where you wanted to go.
Okay. So, back to Total Recall and how it's actually realistic.
Love Total Recall.
Robotaxi, in the United Arab Emirates, they're already taxiing people around, 25,000 people a month in driverless cars. So they're a little ahead of the game compared to us.
Way ahead of the game.
As we still have them driving around with people as a safeguard here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I just saw an Uber guy this morning, and he was actually still driving the wheel.
Yeah, so it's a European company called To Get There. So we have Uber, which is kind of the same, but different.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, I think we should probably take a break.
I agree.
For a word from our sponsor.
Do we have a sponsor this week? You always surprise me with this, and then I feel off guard whenever you look at me for a sponsor.
Like we're really scoring the big bucks now and I'm holding out. Well, fortunately, we do not have a sponsor. But, I'll take you out for chicken wings or something.
Thank
for
you.
all the good work you've been doing.
Thank you, James.
Yeah. We don't have one, but we do still have the show us a picture of your subscription to Unprofessional Engineering from iTunes or Google Play or wherever you go. Send it to us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com or on Facebook, and we will send you a sweet Unprofessional Engineering sticker.
And do we have any shout-outs this week? Did anybody hit us up? Did we think to do that ahead of time?
So first off, no, nobody hit us up. Second off, maybe you should ask that beforehand before you make us look terrible.
Keep my mouth shut.
Yes. But anyways, reach out with your subscription for a sticker. We'll get that mailed out to you. They are just about finalized. So with that, let's move on.
Okay, great. So the next is I kind of have a hodgepodge of movies.
I like that
and
word.
then I get to I've been wanting to use that.
Hodgepodge? Is that one word or two? Maybe it's a compound or hyphenated word?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I got a hodgepodge of movie references with technology, and then I got some cartoons. So first one, Minority Report.
I saw that show up in a lot of places, but I've never seen it, so I didn't bother writing it down.
Well, that's because Tom Cruise is in it. And
he's the worst.
I don't like Tom Cruise.
He has one big center tooth?
Really?
Yeah, he has a monotooth. His teeth were real jacked up when he was young.
I feel like you're making this up.
Google it, man.
He has a single tooth in front.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's centered and big and
We're
really
way
weird.
Off track here.
So go
back
ahead.
to
Sorry.
So Minority Report. They had this heads-up gesture-based display where you would just look at a glass display and you kind of like wave your hands.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of like pinching and zooming and rotating.
Pinching and zooming.
And totally all happening right now. So like if you think about your iPhone, it might not be heads up, but at least your iPhone and iPads and touchscreens, it is all gesture-based.
Right.
Next one, another Minority Report is face scanning for marketing. So in the
facial recognition.
But for marketing, not just facial
Right.
recognition. So there's a company in the UK that is using facial recognition software in stores to know that you are in the store to then tell you about a sale that the store is happening because they know you're there.
Right, that's good.
Next one, War of the Worlds, the Heat Ray.
Oh, you're just slamming everything together here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This hodgepodge. Hence the word hodgepodge,
well,
James.
That's fine. I just have so many good ones. But go ahead. How big is your hodgepodge list?
I got like a couple more. So War of the Worlds, the Heat Ray, and this is an active denial system, I think I'm saying it right.
So you're zapping someone with this heat, and it keeps them away.
Yeah, but it doesn't like incinerate them. It just gets so uncomfortable that they can't stay where they are. And I saw a video of this thing working.
I think they use that in the military, right? Or maybe riot control or something.
And basically you're standing there, and all of a sudden you're so hot that you just have to move, and it's targeted. So it's like a beam that you can't see that they shoot at you.
That's kind of like how I felt at lunch today, sitting outside in the sun.
It was a little warm. Okay. It was. And then last one, because I do have a couple, I'll keep it short, but the last one, you mentioned Blade Runner before. So this was in 1982.
Did I?
Whenever I thought you mentioned Blade Runner.
Maybe I did.
So in Blade Runner, video calls.
Video calls.
If you think about when the movie Blade Runner came out and they were showing video calls.
1982 when it came out.
It's basically Skype.
Yeah.
And everything that kind of came before Skype that was video calls, but essentially that's what video calls and Blade Runner are today.
So since this leads me into mine so nicely, I'm going to interrupt your hodgepodge if you have more or not. Video calls in 1982 with Blade Runner. In 1968, 2001, A Space Odyssey was released, and it had video calling as well. It's pretty impressive. That's what, 10,
what movie
14,
was that?
2001, A Space Odyssey? You've never heard of this?
Yeah, I did, but when did that movie come out?
1968.
Wow.
So 14 years before Blade Runner, it had it.
I didn't
So let me
realize
tell you a
that.
few other things that it came up with.
Excuse me.
They had a 2001 A Space Odyssey had a voice control with HAL, the voice-controlled robot. So we have some voice control commands like Siri and Alexis.
And Hello Google.
And Hello Google?
How do you say Hello Google?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
It searches for you.
I have Siri. I'm a Siri kind of guy.
Nice.
I'm a one robot kind of man.
I'm with you.
We also have airplane televisions. They had televisions on their airplanes, which we now have as well, because I've watched the Steelers games flying to Las Vegas multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's always nice. So, again, ahead of their times, especially because that's not really that common on planes now. They had chess-playing computers, which, of course, we had because Deep Blue beat old Garry Kasparov in 1997.
So in 2001, A Space Odyssey, they had a computer that played chess.
Correct.
Okay, I'm with you.
Wow, was it that difficult to understand?
I was having a hard time keeping up there.
The last thing they had, and this is the one that had an iPad, and I encourage all of you listening to Google, probably after you're done listening to this.
Yeah, because you want to go to the very end.
Right. What the 2001 A Space Odyssey iPad thing looked like, it is dead on. It looks exactly
like a single,
an
single button.
It looks like Apple probably showed up, watched that, and was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make that.
We need to make this."
Yeah, it looks exactly like it. So that's that. All right, I'll let you get back to the hodgepodge now. Sorry for getting you off track.
No. So my last hodgepodge.
Oh, I only had to go one more.
Yeah, so you could have just waited.
Sorry.
Back to RoboCop is cyborgs, and I don't mean I mean cyborgs in the sense of you're physically connected with a neurological connection to the piece of equipment that you're using for a limb or a hand or a leg.
Cable from X-Men.
Yeah,
he has cyborg technology.
So, and I'm thinking like RoboCop. So this was a human body.
He was a human with
he had like
not like Terminator. Not
Yeah.
like Terminator, who is just a robot. I said that really weird. Terminator.
You did.
That was strange.
Terminator.
That's
how you need to say it.
That was really good.
So there was this guy, Dennis Abadoh.
He sounds like he's the
he
worst.
was fitted. No. This is the guy that got the prosthetic.
Oh, so he sounds like he's the best.
He's a great guy. So this was recent. So Dennis was fitted with a prototype left hand that was actually wired into his nervous system.
Oh, I've seen that before.
And he could feel things with this robotic hand, and it could he could be blindfolded and say, I'm feeling something hard, I'm feeling something soft, I'm feeling something that's wet, I'm feeling something that's cold, I'm feeling something that's hot. So they were able to wire so it's not just a standard prosthetic.
That's really impressive.
He could actually feel with the prosthetic because it was wired into his nervous system. And that's just crazy when you think about like your brain and your spinal cord and the nerves. That's crazy to connect into that.
I think that is amazing. And if you're interested in that and you want to hear about more things like that in detail and how it works.
Are you hawking one of your old episodes?
We have a prosthetics episode that goes into great detail on how they connect that stuff up, which is really amazing.
Like detail, like how they connect,
like how they wire up your system so that your brain waves.
You could feel it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very
cool. So
not
just prosthetics.
It's not just prosthetics, but it has that technology talked about as well.
Okay.
So go listen to that one, folks. Another movie that I think we all should be talking about, or set of movies, Back to the Future.
Oh, I only got a couple because there were so many in that one.
I only grabbed a few as well, and some good well-known ones. Power Laces, the self-tying shoe. So that's not doing real well at the moment, but it's come out. Where
I thought
think
that was
Nike
like a
had
hoax, and then they really did it because people said they wanted it.
Well, it's out there, so it exists. There's also the hoverboard.
The legit hoverboard?
There's a legit hoverboard, the HUVR board. And it's kind of like, it's probably not safe. I don't know. Sorry, hoverboard,
Is this the
if
one
you are.
that Buzz Aldrin was standing on?
But
the astronaut.
I don't know.
There was a video of him standing on a hoverboard.
I believe you. I don't know. I just Googled it.
Okay.
And I looked at the company and said, okay, it looks like it's real.
Of course. If it's on the intranets, it's got to be real.
Right. Well,
Yes.
just like we're knowledgeable because we're on the internet.
Exactly. Keep on going. Back to the Future.
The last one I have for Back to the Future is wearables. So they had wearables in 1989 where they were kind of Oculus Rift, Google Glass looking-ish, where Marty McFly's kids were using them at the dinner table. So it was like old Marty McFly.
I specifically remember that.
And both of them, like I think it was a girl and a boy, had them on, and they were like this.
And they were idiots.
And they were, yeah, well, they were kids, so yeah. But he was all disgusted that they
You know
weren't.
what they had there too? And I don't know if this is a real one, but this would be great. The pizza hydrator. She
it
had
was a
the little
dehydrated
tiny
pizza,
pizza,
yeah.
and she put it in, and like 2 seconds later, it
was
was
a full-grown
like a
pizza.
DiGiorno.
It grew up to be
Did
a
that
big.
really happen? Do we know?
I feel like it didn't. Maybe in space that's how they
Like
get pizza.
Yeah,
Because you can't possibly go 9 months without pizza.
everything we've talked about so far, the fact that they didn't do like mini hydrated pizza technology.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like they should have.
Yeah. Do you have any other Back to the Futures?
I don't, because I felt like those were just too easy.
Okay. So
Can we do cartoons? One of my
that's where I was
favorite-
actually headed. So go ahead.
So-
it has to be the same one.
I'm sure it is, but and this is again some gimmies, but some really interesting ones. So the Jetsons,
The Jetsons predicted everything.
they did. They
Everything.
did. So Rosie, there's legitimate cleaning. The Roomba, is a
right?
perfect example.
Not only that, but they did have a little Roomba-looking
They
thing
did.
in addition
It had
to
a low
Rosie.
antenna on it, I
Yeah.
remember.
Rosie had a real attitude as well.
She did. Her and C-3PO would have been a good couple.
Ooh, I bet they probably would. Well, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah. Next one, flat screen TVs. This one I thought was
There's
amazing.
come
And it
straight
would
down.
come out of the ceiling.
Yep.
It was super thin. And to think that a TV, like for the person that created the Jetsons,
In the 60s.
yes, to think that, you know what, a TV could be this thin, to even think that is crazy. Because I remember being a kid sitting in front of my console television with my mom and dad and brother and sister, and it was like, oh, this is the best TV ever.
Right.
And that was in, the 80s.
Yeah.
For them to think of a flat screen TV back when the Jetsons came out was just crazy.
Yep.
Dog treadmill.
I saw that. Isn't that ridiculous?
Astro
Yep.
used to run because remember, you're in space. You can't take your dog anywhere.
Dogs
so
gotta run.
Astro
Dogs
would
gotta
go
run.
outside. There was a little treadmill, and they make treadmills for dogs now. They're like legitimate treadmills for exercise.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
And then they also had video calls. That was
They
another
did have
one that
video
they did.
calls.
They did
So I had
video
that
calls.
listed up here along with Blade Runner and Space Odyssey. A few more Jetsons things would be that they had smartwatches. Do you remember
I
they
don't
had the
remember.
watch and it would like pop up a video of the guy and you would talk to him
like
on
a
your
hologram.
smartwatch? Yeah, it was like a hologram smartwatch.
Ooh, you
So that
think
was
Apple iWatch is going to do that next? Maybe a little.
I haven't really seen. I feel like those didn't catch on like they should have.
Yeah. When you got to charge your phone every night before you
in
use
your
it.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one though, I thought interesting on the same thing as the smartwatches. Dick Tracy in 1952 had the two-way radio watch.
Yes,
so
he
that was like a
did.
smartwatch, right?
That's crazy.
That's a great one right there. And the Jetsons also have flying cars, which I think you can buy one or put your payment down
I
to get
saw
one
that.
within the next year.
I saw
which
that.
is awesome. I mean, that's almost 60 years, 50 years ahead of time they called that
I do
one.
feel like that flying car thing, it's going to be like drones. Like they'll be like okay with it for like a month and then be like, oh, you know what? You got to be a pilot to
Yeah.
like fly in the air with a car.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to take off, the flying car thing.
We only
Just
have a
saying.
few minutes left, so I'm going to buzz through just a couple more that I really think are good. So for superheroes, the Iron Man armor.
Yeah.
So that is now, so I think it's called Jarvis, Jarvis in Tony Stark land.
Yes, you
But
are correct.
in the real world, we're making Talos, Tactical Assault Light Operator Suit, which is a suit that lets people lift more, run faster, go further distances. And it's something weird being developed by MIT, of course, like everything, where the thing is made out of a liquid body armor, and they run some sort of current through it, and that causes it to solidify. And then you're able to do all these superhuman things.
That's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
That is very
great
cool.
technology.
I like that one.
So that one was cool. I wanted to get to a few books. Do you care if I do that?
Yeah, I want to finish with one, so I want you to keep the last one for me.
Let me plow through the authors. Jules Verne, Space Travel, was called out in 1865, he called this, From the Earth to the Moon. So less than 100 years later, in 1961, we managed to do that. He also figured out submarines in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, published in 1870. So this dude was doing pretty well.
I'd say.
Though, I mean, we had submarines before that, but not like he was talking about. H.G. Wells predicted tanks in 1903 in the land ironclads, and these big old war machines that he had were 100 feet long, all sets of wheels. We didn't have those for war until 1916, and he also predicted automatic doors, like you were talking about.
I gotcha.
Another one, here's a little guess question for you. What temperature in degrees F does paper burn at?
1600.
451 degrees. Fahrenheit 451, where they collect up all the books and burn things.
I get it.
They had little seashell thimble radios that were basically earbuds that they put in. So we're giving them credit for that in 1953, 50 years ahead of time.
Yeah, I imagine the headsets back then would have been huge, right?
Right. And then Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Have you ever read that?
I have not.
Very good book. I haven't read much, but I've read that. He basically predicted Zoloft back in 1931. So it was called Soma, and that's what kept the citizens from like hating life in their society where they were completely oppressed.
I gotcha.
So
here's my last one, and this is more of like a caution to our listeners and to society in general. There was an amazing movie called Idiocracy.
It is amazing.
And
I think Mike Judge was involved in that, but go ahead.
So Idiocracy, if you get a chance, it's not kid-friendly.
It is not.
But it is one of the most like awkwardly, weirdly funny, but you could see it happening because of the way people in society act. But in the movie, there is... if you remember, it's called Brondo, the thirst mutilator.
Yeah.
And it has electrolytes because that's what the body needs. And basically, they gave this to everything, and that was the only thing they ate and drank was Brondo. There's a company out there called Soylent, and it's a soy-based food that you don't need to consume anything else except for this Soylent. And basically, it's liquid-based nutrition. So in almost every single sci-fi movie, nutrition is like liquid-based. You pour it or it turns into something else.
Yeah.
And the movie Idiocracy, they do this really well with the Brondo and the food that they eat. So
well done. I like that you brought this back to after-school special area with the warning kids.
Yeah.
It's not all good.
No, it's not. Because I think that technology is only as good as the people that are creating it and the people consuming it and what we use it for. So.
Wow. You got deep there.
I did. I'm sorry.
No, I liked it.
Good.
I liked that. All right. Well, I think this was a good one.
I enjoyed this.
I really enjoyed it. I hope everyone else did too.
I do too.
So I guess...
and if we missed one...
Oh, absolutely.
In the comments, wherever, just make sure if we missed something, whatever you want to do, just let us know what we missed, and maybe we'll get you a sticker if you give us some good ones.
Wow. Tell us what we missed. Maybe you get a sticker. There's a deal.
Maybe.
All right.
Get a sticker.
Until next week.
See you guys.